Good to go. Good morning po sa lahat. Nandito po si Kong Mika Swansing to answer questions about the GAB and kung ano pa na gusto nyo. Paki-introduce lang ang sarili at ang entity bago magtanong. Salamat.
Thank you very much po. Before we open the floor to questions, is it okay po if I do the presentation first and then thereafter we can proceed po with the question and answer? Good morning, everyone. Magandang umaga po. Na-miss ko po kayo. Thank you for working with us all throughout the very hectic budget season. Actually, we're technically still within the budget season. Pero thank you po for staying with us until 4:30 in the morning, deliberating on the budget. And I hope you're able to get some rest between last Monday when we approved the GAB on third reading and today. It's been a week, and I hope po that everyone has had the chance to rest, and also nagkaroon na rin po ng pagkakataon na makita yung General Appropriations Bill, which has been uploaded as committed by the House of Representatives. The copy of the General Appropriations Bill as approved on third reading has been uploaded to the website of the House of Representatives. So all the volumes are there, and you can access even the annexes. All of them are there, and we have also officially, I believe it has been transmitted to the Senate. It has been officially transmitted to the Senate last October 13, when we approved it on third reading. That same evening po, we were already able to transmit the third reading, the final reading approved version of the GAB to the Senate. So yun po, just as a quick background. And today, what I was hoping to do po today is to present the General Appropriations Bill in its entirety as approved on third and final reading, because all throughout the deliberations there have been a lot of changes, but all of the amendments were deliberated on by the Budget Amendments Review Subcommittee, and all of those deliberations were live streamed. But today I would like to look at it at a higher level, taking a step back and looking at it from a wider lens. Ano po ba talaga yung mga nagawa natin sa General Appropriations Bill? Saan po natin inilagay yung karamihan ng pondo? Alin pong mga sektor yung ating binigyan ng prioridad? And all of those I hope to answer as we go through the presentations, and then during the question and answer portion after. So with that po, I'll proceed with my presentation. So essentially, what we're trying to do, as we committed on the part of the House, is to create a people-centered budget for fiscal year 2026. So, bukod po doon sa gusto nating gawing bukas at transparent yung proseso ng paggawa ng budget, gusto po nating siguraduhin na yung budget natin para sa taong 2026 ay talagang tumutugon sa pangangailangan ng ating mga kababayan, sa pangangailangan ng ating bansa, at talagang mararamdaman ng mga Pilipino. So, yun po yung ating tema dito. We want to build a people-centered budget. So with that, we'll move to the next slide. So what are the priority sectors that we focused on for fiscal year 2026? Tatlo po yun. Binigyan po natin ng prioridad ang edukasyon, kalusugan, at agrikultura. One of the big questions that was asked to us, and again, this is unprecedented. It's unprecedented that we needed to reallocate 255.5 billion pesos within the budget in such a short time span. At nakita nyo naman po yun po yung talagang naging pangunahing papel ng Budget Amendments Review Subcommittee, na for us to deliberate on how we will reallocate the 255.5 billion pesos that were taken out from DPWH, more specifically flood control projects, towards other priority sectors. And we also took the guidance of our President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., in terms of the priority sectors and priority programs for us to look at. And And again, ang tinignan po natin at ang binigyan nating prioridad ay ang edukasyon, kalusugan at agrikultura. More specifically, to the right-hand side of the slide, you will see here that 78.7% of the 255 billion pesos went to health, education, and agriculture. More specifically, in terms of absolute amounts, 201.1 billion out of 255 billion went to the three priority sectors. As you would see there, in terms of absolute amounts, we were able to add an additional 53.75 billion towards agriculture, 56.64 billion towards education, and 90.75 billion towards health. And the rest would be split across the different agencies. The other agencies being DOLE, DSWD, DOTR, DND, DOJ, DNR, DOF, DICT, DOE, Judiciary, Ombudsman, COA, NCSC, National Commission on Senior Citizens, LGSF, COMELEC, DMW, DSUD, and DILG. So dun po napunta yung 255.5 billion pesos mula sa flood control projects na inilipat po natin mula sa DPWH. We'll do a deep dive of each of these sectors later, just to highlight which particular programs we allocated the funds to. Pero ang pinakamahalaga po dito ay halos 80% po ng 255 billion ay napunta sa edukasyon, kalusugan at agrikultura. Next slide, please. So this is a very high-level view of the total budget per sector or department. For the sake of to make it easier to look at, kasi po if we look at it, if we put every single agency on this slide, medyo masyado pong busy yung slide. So for here, we'll focus on the top 10 sectors or departments that receive the highest allocation of the budget as per the third reading version of the General Appropriations Bill. Of course, we want the budget for fiscal year 2026 to be an education budget. And with that, the original 1.22 trillion pesos, as indicated in the NEP, was further increased by the House of Representatives by an additional 56.6 billion. And now the total budget for the education sector is at 1.28 trillion pesos. We'll do a deep dive on that later. For health, upon adding the additional 90 billion to the original 320 billion in the NEP, health is now at 411.2 billion. In terms of agriculture, adding the 53 billion to the original 239 billion, we are at 292.9 billion pesos. One thing that I would like to highlight po, as you can see in the fourth row, would be the budget for DPWH. Mula po sa original na 881 billion pesos na budget ng DPWH, tinanggal po natin, inilipat natin yung 255.5 billion pesos mula sa flood control. At ngayon po, ang budget ng DPWH ay 625 billion pesos. You can also look at the breakdown po for the other departments, for defense, interior and local government, for social welfare. We added 32.8 billion pesos towards AIX and other programs like the program catering to adolescent pregnancies, other psychological support programs for different sectors nakapasok po doon, as well as the additional amount that we put into the National Commission on Senior Citizens. Meron din po for DOTR, for transportation, we added 2.8 billion. For the judiciary, we added 1.5 billion. And for labor and employment, a combination of DOLE, so you have TUPAD, other livelihood programs, and DMW, we added 300 million pesos to fund the OFW lounges. Kasi kung hindi po natin naidagdag yung 300 million pesos na yon, mapipilitan po na iisara yung OFW lounges. And we know that that is a flagship program of the administration and something that our beloved OFWs are very much looking for. So pinondohan din po natin yon. Totaling an additional 10.4 billion pesos for labor and employment. For defense, we added 4.2 billion pesos, and for interior and local government, we added 162 million pesos. So dito po sa slide na to, kitang-kita po natin, again, in the spirit of transparency, we are showing exactly where, which departments we reallocated the funds, or we made the amendments po for in terms of the General Appropriations Bill. Next slide, please. So here, just to kind of focus more on the fact that the fiscal year 2026 budget is going to be an education budget. The budget for fiscal year 2026, I am happy to report, will be the highest education budget in the history of our country, with a total of 1.28 trillion pesos. That is the final total once we add the 56 billion pesos added by the House of Representatives. For the first time in history, we were able to breach the 4% international benchmark. At hindi lang po natin nalagpasan yung 4% na yon, umabot pa po tayo sa 4.1%. Ibig sabihin po, 4.1% of the education budget represents 4.1% of our country's GDP. And alam ko po, ang tagal na nating tina-target yon, and finally, for fiscal year 2026, we were able to do that for the first time. In terms of specific breakdowns and expected outcomes, mas maganda po siguro na gawin nating mas konkreto. Ano po ang ibig sabihin ng 1.28 trillion pesos na ito para sa edukasyon? Una po, kasama po yung 35 billion pesos na idinagdag ng House of Representatives para sa BEF o yung Basic Education Facilities Program. Ang ating pong final total would be 63.2 billion pesos. And that would translate to 25,000 new and rehabilitated classrooms for fiscal year 2026. Ang laki po nito in terms of percentage, because as our President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. mentioned in the SONA, ang target po would be to build 40,000 classrooms by 2028. And with the 25,200 classrooms that we will be able to build in fiscal year 2026, ang lapit na po natin. We're more than half. We're probably 60% of the way there towards our target for fiscal year 2026. Next po, ito po yung matagal nang hinihintay ng ating mga state universities at colleges. Ito po ay halos 4-5 taon na po nilang hinihiling na sana po mabayaran na, mapunan na yung kakulangan doon po sa implementasyon ng Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act or UACTE. So, over the years, the accumulated deficiency to SUCs already amassed to 12.31 billion pesos. And again, for the first time, we will be able to fund all of that. So sa taong 2026, mapupunan na po yung buong kakulangan sa implementasyon ng UACTE. How were we able to do that? So we were able to put in a special provision in the General Appropriations Bill enabling CHED and the SUCs to access the Higher Education Development Fund or the HEDF for this purpose. Sa kasalukuyan po, meron pong laman na 11 billion pesos ang HEDF, and in the General Appropriations Bill, we provided that 7.82 billion pesos of that would have to go towards the payment of deficiency to SUCs. And on top of that, nagdagdag po tayo ng 4.4 billion pesos para po mabuo natin yung 12 billion pesos. So, lahat po ng 114 state universities at colleges sa buong bansa ay makakatanggap po, magbebenepisyo po dito. And ano po yung implication na to? This is the first year since UACTE was passed in 2017 that it will be fully funded. Medyo nakakagulat po yun, pero yun po yung realidad. At bukod pa po doon, hindi lang natin pupunan yung kakulangan nung nakaraan. kundi naglagay din po tayo ng paraan na hindi na po magkakaroon ulit ng ganong deficiency. Kasi po, inayos na din po natin yung sistema sa pagitan ng SHED, sa pagitan ng mga SUCs at ng DBM para po hindi na magkaroon ng discrepancy doon po sa expected number of enrollees as assumed in the funding in the General Appropriations Bill versus yung actual number of enrollees po ng kabataan. Ano po yung ibig sabihin nito sa mga paaralan? Ibig sabihin po, magagamit nila itong ibabayad sa kanila para po makapagpagawa ng mga infrastruktura, mas mapaganda po yung kanilang operasyon. Yun naman po kasi talaga yung kanilang hinihintay. Lastly, with the additional 13.8 billion pesos approved by the House of Representatives towards UACTE, SHED, and TESDA, ang total na po ng scholarships would be 52.2 billion pesos. And that would translate to scholarships for up to 2.49 million students across the country. So, yun po. Just wanted to highlight that. Ito po yung mga main highlights ng ating education budget para po sa taong 2026. Next slide, please. Similarly, the health sector budget totaling 411.2 billion pesos, including the 90 billion pesos added by the House of Representatives, would translate to the following. Una po, ang total PhilHealth subsidy po para sa taong 2026 ay maging 113 billion pesos. Dinagdagan po natin ng 60 billion pesos mula po sa ating mga amyenda dito sa House of Representatives. At yun po yung ating malaking tinalakay na sana po magamit po ng PhilHealth itong kadagdagang subsidiya para po mas mapaganda yung benefits package, mas mapalawak yung benepisyo na matatanggap ng mga pasyente, mabawasan yung direct contributions ng mga direct contributors at mabayaran po yung mga obligasyon ng PhilHealth sa mga ospital. Second, we were able to add 25 billion pesos rather for MAIFIP. Ano po yung ibig sabihin nito? Ang total po na amount ng MAIFIP para sa taong 2026 ay magiging 49.2 billion pesos. And that would enable us to actualize the zero balance billing in government hospitals. Napakahalaga po ng papel na gagampanan ng MAIFIP para po wala na pong babayaran yung ating mga kababayan sa mga pampublikong ospital, lalo na po para sa ating mga indigent na mga kababayan. At panghuli po, nagdagdag po tayo ng 5.7 billion para po sa HFEP or Health Facilities Enhancement Program. At ang katumbas po nito para sa taong 2026 ay magkakaroon po tayo ng 27.9 billion pesos para po sa pagpapagawa ng iba't ibang mga ospital at iba't ibang mga gusaling pangkalusugan. Next, please. Next would be the agriculture budget. The agriculture budget would now total to 292.9 billion pesos, including the 90 billion pesos added by the House of Representatives. So some key highlights po. The first would be the 10 billion pesos that would be allocated towards the presidential assistance for farmers and fisher folk. Ang katumbas po nito, gamit po yung kasalukuyang guideline na 7,000 pesos bawat benepisyaryo. Ang katumbas po nito ay mabibigyan po ng tulong ang higit 1.4 million na mga farmers at mga fisher folk, mga magsasaka at mga mangingisda sa ating buong bansa. Pangalawa po, another key highlight would be the total of 74.5 billion pesos allocated towards different farm-to-market roads and irrigation infrastructure. So that includes the 35.5 billion pesos added by the House of Representatives. At alam naman po natin yung napakamahalagang papel na ginagampatan po ng mga farm-to-market road at mga irigasyon para po matulungan yung ating mga magsasaka na mas mapababa yung kanilang ginagastos sa pagsasaka dahil po mas mura yung binabayaran nila para po maiangkat, makuha po yung yung mga kanilang sinasaka o inaani mula po sa kanilang mga palayan. Sunod po, nakapaloob po sa General Appropriations Bill ang 30 billion pesos para sa Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund. Ibig sabihin po, may karagdagang 30 billion pesos para po makapagbigay ng mga makinarya, binhi, training, pautang, insurance, irigasyon, at iba pang suporta para po sa ating mga mahal na mga magsasaka. Sunod po, nagbigay po tayo ng karagdagang 4.3 billion pesos sa NFA para po makabili po sila ng karagdagang post-harvest facilities at mga truck. Muli, gusto po natin na paigtingin yung pagbili ng NFA ng mga palay mula po sa ating mga magsasaka dahil mas nabibili nila sa mas mataas na presyo yung palay ng ating mga magsasaka. Sunod po, nagbigay po tayo ng karagdagang 1 billion pesos para sa crop insurance. So, para po matulungan yung ating mga magsasaka, lalo na po sa panahon ng kalamidad, para po meron silang insurance na pwede pong masandigan. Sunod po, we added 2.4 billion pesos towards the construction of different deep water ports for agri-industrial products and an additional 200 million pesos for the land tenure security program, particularly for agrarian reform beneficiaries. So, kalaki po ito ng New Agrarian Emancipation Act na naisabatas po ilang taon na yung nakadadaan. Next, please. And something that we would like to really highlight is how the House worked very, very hard to do all of these in the midst of implementing reforms. Sweeping reforms po, hindi lang mga maliliit na reforma. Binago po natin yung maraming mga proseso na ilang dekada na nandoon. Kaya, it was doubly hard for us to be able to pass the budget. We had to work very, very hard to pass the budget on time in the midst of all of these reforms. Pero ginawa po yan ng inyong Kongreso dahil po sa aming pangako sa ating mga kababayan na gagawin po nating bukas, gagawin po nating transparent, gagawin po nating participative ang budget process para sa taong 2026 at sa mga susunod na taon. Ano-ano po yung mga reforma na ating ginawa? First, we have abolished the small committee. So the small committee it has now been replaced by the open and the transparent Budget Amendments Review Subcommittee. Institutional amendments were deliberated on by the BARC, and the roughly 20 hours of deliberations were all live streamed. And during all of those deliberations, we showed the public line by line where every peso of the amendments went. Saan pong mga departamento, saang mga programa. Second, budget deliberations were made open and transparent. All committee hearings, plenary deliberations, and BARC deliberations were all live streamed across different platforms, Facebook, and YouTube. Engagement with CSOs. Accredited civil society organizations were invited to deliberations. We conducted the first ever People's Budget Review. Civil society organizations were allowed to field questions to the agencies through the vice chairpersons of the Committee on Appropriations, and their inputs were also incorporated in the budget. A lot of the suggestions of the CSOs, especially those pertaining to education, special education programs, to transportation and agriculture, were incorporated into the budget. All amendments were incorporated before the second reading approval. Napakahalaga po nito dahil ito po ay constitutional requirement. At talaga pong sinundan natin yung constitutional requirement na pagkatapos po ng approval on second reading, wala na pong pinayagan na ibang amyenda na ipasok. Also, for the first time in recent history, the period of individual amendments rather, were open to all House members. All members were also provided copies of the second reading version and the third reading version of the General Appropriations Bill before each respective voting periods. So, yun po, ito po yung mga mahalagang reforma na atin pong ginawa sa loob po ng 20th Congress. Next, please. Ito po, gusto ko pong talakayin ito ngayong araw kasi alam ko po karamihan ng usapin nitong mga nakaraang linggo ay nakasentro sa usapin ng unprogrammed appropriations. So tulad po ng aking ipinangako patungkol sa iba't ibang aspeto ng budget, gusto ko din pong buksan yung tabing sa unprogrammed appropriations. Ang pakiramdam ko po kasi, at yun po ay aking palagay, isa po sa mga dahilan kung bakit nagkakaroon ng ganitong usapin pagdating sa unprogrammed appropriations, ay meron po kasing uncertainty with regard to the contents of unprogrammed appropriations. So today, I would like to go through the different items within unprogrammed appropriations as well as the breakdown para po makita po natin ano po ba talaga yung laman ng unprogrammed appropriations. Pero bago po tayo pumunta dyan, ano po ba ang unprogrammed appropriations? I know this has been said a lot of times over the past few weeks, but unprogrammed appropriations is a standby appropriation duly authorized and approved by Congress in the General Appropriations Act. Standby appropriations lang po ito. Hindi po ito nakapaloob doon sa 6.793 trillion pesos na budget, na national budget na atin pong inaaprubahan. If you would want to look at it from a different lens, there is currently no funding for unprogrammed appropriations. Wala pong parte ng ating buwis sa 6.793 trillion pesos ang napupunta sa unprogrammed appropriations sa kasalukuyang forma ng General Appropriations Bill. And when can you actually fund unprogrammed appropriations? Mapopondohan lang po ang unprogrammed appropriations kung meron pong sobra o kadagdagang kita ang ating gobyerno sa taong 2026 o kung meron pong panibagong loan agreements na ating pong mafa-finalize kasama po ang ating development partners, particular po sa foreign assisted projects. So, yun po siguro muna. Lagi po kasing sinasabi na malaking porsyento ng 6.7 trillion ay napupunta sa unprogrammed appropriations. Hindi po tama yun. Sa katunayan po, walang parte ng 6.7 trillion pesos ang kasalukuyang na mapupunta sa unprogrammed appropriation. So, very important for us to align on that po. Ibig sabihin po, kung walang dagdag nakita ang gobyerno, wala pong mapopondohan sa unprogrammed appropriations. Yung 200... Oh, where are the amounts? Where did the amounts go? Can you fill it in? Sorry po, may na-delete lang po doon sa slide. Yung amounts. Can I edit it directly? I'll edit it directly. Sorry po. May... Sorry about that. Na-delete lang po. Meron po actually sa ilalim comparison po ng total amount for unprogrammed appropriations sa 2025 versus 2026. Sige po. Pasensya na po, na-delete po. Pero nung 2025 po, ang total amount po ng unprogrammed appropriations was 363.4 billion pesos. Kumpara po sa kasalukuyang level ng unprogrammed appropriations na 243.2 billion pesos. So kung titignan po natin, nagkaroon po ng pagbaba sa total amount for unprogrammed appropriations. That would be 120.2 billion pesos reduction for unprogrammed appropriations from 2025 to 2026. Ayan na po, handa na po. Sorry, na-delete lang. Ayan po. There you go. Sorry po. That was the original version of the slide. So dito po sa ilalim, mahalaga po na bigyan natin ng diin na bumaba po yung total amount. The total amount for unprogrammed appropriations decreased from 2025 to 2026. From the 2025 level of 363.4 billion pesos, the amount for unprogrammed appropriations decreased by 120 billion pesos to the current 2026 level of 243.2 billion pesos. So, yun po, malaki po yung tinanggal sa unprogrammed appropriations sa kasalukuyang version ng General Appropriations Bill. Next, please. Ayun po, medyo maliit, but we'll provide copies to everyone of the components. Siguro po isa sa mga hindi natatalakay sa usapin ng unprogrammed appropriations ay ano po ba yung nakapaloob sa unprogrammed appropriations. Sa katunayan po, meron pong 11 na purposes sa loob ng unprogrammed appropriations. Napan. What's happening? Sorry po. Technical difficulties. Ayan po. Ito po yung 11 na nakapaloob sa unprogrammed appropriations. Under unprogrammed appropriations, we are authorizing 11 purposes for how unprogrammed appropriations can be spent in the 2026 budget. Naglulose yung wire eh. Ayan po. Ano po yung laman ng unprogrammed appropriations? The first would be strengthening assistance for social programs. Ito po yung controversial na dating tinatawag na SAGIP. Ngayon po, tinanggal na po natin yung letter I. We are now disallowing infrastructure from being disbursed from what was previously known as SAGIP. I'll project na lang, Jo. How do I? Pasensya na po. Sorry. I'll project from my iPad up. Ayun po, ako na magko-control. Mukhang mas gagana siya ng ganito. Ayan po. So, ito po yung dating tinatawag na SAGIP. At mahalaga po na bigyan natin ng diin na ngayon po, alam ko po kasi yung mga napag-usapan na dito po sa una, yung dating tinatawag na SAGIP, dyan po nabatak yung flood control projects ng mga nakaraang taon. And at para po sa taong 2026, gusto po nating siguraduhin na hindi po maaabuso ang unprogrammed appropriations. At dahil po doon, atin na pong tinanggal ang infrastruktura mula doon sa dating sagip. Ngayon po, ang tawag na lang po sa kanya ay Strengthening Assistance for Social Programs. Mamaya po, ipapakita po natin kung ano yung nakapaloob sa Strengthening Assistance for Social Programs. Kung makikita po natin dito, malinaw po na detalye yung mga iba't ibang mga pwedeng paggamitan ng unprogrammed appropriations at kung magkano po yung pwedeng batakin mula dito. Ibig sabihin po, para lang po bigyan ng linaw, currently, these are not funded in the GAB. These are the standby appropriations that can be funded if excess revenues become available. So ano po yung mga iba pang mga purpose na pwede po nating pondohan sa loob po ng unprogrammed appropriations? The second purpose would be budgetary support to government-owned and/or controlled corporations, and this pertains to conversion into subsidy of national government advances of loan obligations of GOCCs. The third would be, the third and the fourth, we have to take them both together. Ito na po yung nakasentro din sa mga usapin ng mga nakarang araw. Ito po yung Foreign Assisted Projects o yung FAPs. In total, the total amount for Purpose 3 and Purpose 4 is 97.3 billion plus 35 billion pesos. So this would total 133 billion pesos for foreign assisted projects. Mamaya po ipapaliwanag ko din po yan sa mas malalim na detalye. Fifth would be the program on risk management. So these cover the commitments and obligations of our government towards public-private partnership programs or PPPs. The sixth would be the refund of the service development fee for the right to develop the Nampei-dai property in Tokyo, Japan. Very specific use po. As you can see, that cannot be dispersed for anything else. Seventh would be prior year's LGU share. So that would be the share of LGUs in the 2% special privilege tax. Number 8 would be the revised AFP modernization, and this takes up a huge chunk of the unprogrammed appropriations. 50 billion pesos po sa 210 billion pesos na nasa unprogrammed appropriations ay naka-standby para po sa AFP modernization. Bakit po? Dahil po sa AFP modernization law, bawat taon po actually, ideally, ang nakapondo para sa AFP modernization would be over 100 billion pesos. But given the limited fiscal space, we are only able to program within the budget of the DND roughly 40 billion pesos for AFP modernization. Kaya po tayo nag-aabang ng kadagdagang 50 billion pesos para sa AFP modernization dahil hindi po sapat yung pag-rehabilitate at pag-ensure ng mga government assets kung meron po mga ganong klaseng kalamidad. So here, we'll do a deep dive on the first purpose, which is the sagip. Hindi na po sagip yung tawag ngayon. Bakit ko po gustong bigyang din ito? Dahil dito po nakasentro lahat po ng mga katanungan patungkol sa unprogrammed appropriations. Again, I would like to reiterate that we have removed infrastructure from the allowable disbursements under Purpose 1. Tinanggal na po ng Kongreso ang infrastruktura sa listahan ng mga pwedeng paggamitan ng unprogrammed appropriations, particular sa dating sagip. Ito po ay hakbang ng Kongreso laban sa posibleng pang-aabuso ng unprogrammed appropriations. The previous sagip, I standing for infrastructure, would now be known as Strengthening Assistance for Social Programs, and only government social programs geared towards education, health, and social protection would be allowed. Very, very important point po. Wala na pong pwedeng flood control projects, wala na pong pwedeng mga kalsada o mga tulay na pwedeng batakin mula sa Strengthening Assistance for Social Programs. So, just to be very, very transparent about it, meron din pong breakdown sa loob ng Special Purpose 1. Siguro po kasi, nakita ko po sa ilang pagtatalakay na unprogrammed appropriations, iniisip po kasi ng ilan na lump sum funds yung unprogrammed appropriations. Hindi po totoo ito. Sapagkat meron pong naka-line item na mga programa at mga purpose sa ilalim po ng unprogrammed appropriations. And here I would like to highlight the purposes or the projects intended under Special Purpose 1. Makikita po natin dito, meron lang po, technically, merong infrastruktura dito. Kung makikita nyo po sa ilalim ng DepEd, meron pong naka-standby para sa Basic Education Facilities Program at Public Schools Infrastructure Program. So, technically, meron pong infrastructure, pero ang pwede lang po dyan ay mga school buildings. So, just to do a deep dive, ano po yung laman ng bagong strengthening assistance for social programs that total 45 billion pesos. So, first, as you would see, there would be the payment of SSS loans. So that's 3.3 billion pesos. For CHED, the competitive grant mechanism for state universities and colleges would amount to 2 billion pesos. For PhilHealth, there's an additional 21.1 billion pesos on standby. Again, why is this the case? Even at 113 billion pesos, posible po kasing kulang pa rin yung binibigay natin sa PhilHealth. So, in case there would be excess revenues, we are putting roughly 21 billion pesos on standby for additional subsidies to PhilHealth. Here, bukod po doon sa education program or education budget na nakaprogram kanina, meron din pong kadagdagang 7.8 billion pesos na nakaabang para sa DepEd. Actually, hindi lang po 7.8 kasi po 7.8 billion plus 450 million plus 13 million. So, roughly 8.2 billion pesos on standby for DepEd. Makikita nyo po dyan, iba-ibang programa po yan. School-based feeding program, textbooks and other instructional materials, basic education facilities, public infrastructure, public schools infrastructure program, physical fitness and school sports, and basic education curriculum. Meron din pong nakaabang para po sa DOLE TESDA. There is 2.3 billion pesos on standby for the scholarship program for eligible incumbent child development workers, including UACTE requirements. There is also 1.3 billion pesos on standby for the requirements for hospital equipment and other facilities, and 6.5 billion pesos on standby for AICS under DSWD. Siguro po gusto ko pong bigyang din ito dahil ngayon pong 2025, nagamit po natin yung AICS na nakapaloob sa unprogrammed appropriations. Nung tumama po yung lindol at mga bagyo sa Masbate, Cebu at Davao, kinailangan po nating bumatak ng 5 billion pesos mula sa unprogrammed appropriations para sa AICS, para po makapagbigay ng kadagdagan tugon dun po sa mga nasalanta ng kalamidad. And maybe that's a really good illustration of how unprogrammed appropriations can help the government operationalize. Kung wala pong unprogrammed appropriations na nakaabang para sa AICS, wala pong agadang tulong na mailalabas ang DSWD para sa mga nasalanta ng bagyo at ng kalamidad at ng lindol dahil ubos na po yung AICS na nakaprogram sa ilalim ng DSWD. So that's a really good illustration of how unprogrammed appropriations can help the government and the Filipino people. Next, yun po yung unang purpose. Ito po yung foreign assisted projects under unprogrammed appropriations. I think both the House and the Senate were very clear on this, that we would need to retain the funding for foreign assisted projects under unprogrammed appropriations. And why is that so? Infrastructure projects lodged under DPWH and DOTR will only be allowed if these are foreign assisted projects or FAPs. FAPs are projects funded by partner countries such as JICA, the French ODA, multilateral bodies, or other international entities such as the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and we need to retain the funding for FAPS because we cannot renege on our obligations and agreements to our development and international partners. Hindi po kasi pwede na kapag meron tayong commitment sa ating sa international na level, hindi po natin basta-bastang pwedeng talikuran yon, kaya kailangan po nating pondohan yung FAPS. Here, the total of for FAPS, a combination of special purpose, a combination of Purpose 3 and Purpose 4, as highlighted a while ago, under unprogrammed appropriations, total to 133.1 billion pesos. And FAPS account for 54.7% of the total 243 billion pesos under unprogrammed appropriations. So makikita nyo po, ano po yung, saan po napupunta yung majority ng unprogrammed appropriations? Tatlo po yun. Sa ilalim po ng FAPS, higit kalahati. Pangalawa po sa AFP modernization, roughly 20%, 50 billion pesos. At pangatlo po, doon po sa unang programa, yung pinakita ko po kanina, yung strengthening assistance for social programs, totaling 45 billion pesos. So yun po yung tatlong pinakamalalaki na laman ng unprogrammed appropriations. Last slide, this is the last slide of the whole presentation, just to show the breakdown of FAPS by category. Out of the 133 billion pesos under FAPS, ito po yung breakdown. Siguro po, importante po na mapakita kung saan po napupunta to. Meron po kasing mga katatungan na bakit hindi na lang ilagay sa programmed appropriations ang lahat ng foreign assisted projects. Yun po ay dahil sa panahon na binubuo pa lang yung budget, during the budget preparation stage, the requirements needed for it to go into programmed appropriations were not satisfied for these projects. For example po, there are two requirements for it to go into programmed appropriations. First is it would require a perfected contract or perfected agreement between the Philippines and our international partners. And second, that particular perfected contract would need to be approved by the NEDA board. So yun lang po yung dahilan. As much as we would like to put all of the foreign assisted projects under programmed appropriations, meron po kasing mga proyekto na mahahalaga na hindi po umabot doon. At ito po yun. Una, yung 36.7% po, yun po yung binanggit ko. These are the FAPs currently under negotiation. So, out of the 133 billion, 48 billion po yun. Ibig sabihin, hindi pa pinal yung kasunduan sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at ng ating international partners. Second, the newly approved loans. I put that separate because when the NEP was finalized in July, these two projects under DSWD and DOH were still not finalized. And as of October 7, these two projects already have perfected agreements. That's why we put it separate. And the total for that would be 38 billion pesos. And lastly, this is very interesting. 45 billion under FAPS are additional Tier 2 requirements of ongoing foreign assisted projects under DOTR. Ano po yung ibig sabihin nito? Ito pong 45.8 billion pesos na to, meron silang counterpart sa loob ng programmed appropriations ng DOTR. Pero dahil po sa palagay po ng DBM, ang kanila pong assessment ay hindi po mauubos ng DOTR yung kabuuan ng pondo na yon. So halimbawa po, I'm using the numbers loosely, but just as an example, the Metro Manila Subway Project, for example po, 100 billion po yung kailangan sa project na yon. So, ideally, you would put the whole 100 billion under programmed appropriations. But given the historically low utilization rate for the Metro Manila Subway project, sayang naman po kung ibibigay natin yung buong 100 billion pesos doon sa programa na yon nang hindi naman mauubos ng DOTR. So ang ginawa po ng DBM, imbes na ibigay yung buong 100 billion pesos, binigay nila yung kalahati. Halimbawa lang po to, hindi ko po maalala yung mismong numero, pero binigay nila yung kalahati under Tier 1. Para po, yung kalahati, yung 50 billion pesos na kalahati, ay pwede nilang mailagay sa ibang mga departamento at ibang mga programa na talagang kailangan ng ating bansa. Ano po yung nangyari doon sa 50 billion pesos na natira na kailangan sana ipasok sa Metro Manila Subway Project? Linagay po sa unprogrammed appropriations. Para kung magkaroon ng pagkakataon na mauubos po ng DOTR yung 50 billion pesos na unang nailagay sa ilalim na unprogrammed appropriations, pwede pong bumatak sa unprogrammed appropriations. So, yun po. Hindi po totoo na yung mga programa sa ilalim ng unprogrammed appropriations ay walang counterpart o walang katumbas na line item sa programmed appropriations. There are instances wherein there are counterpart projects under the programmed appropriations, but DBM elected to separate the two in order to allocate resources towards programs and projects that are more urgently needed by our country. So, yun lang po. A little bit, my apologies po, it's a little bit technical, but it's really important po to be able to dissect the contents of unprogrammed appropriation. So, that's it. That would be my presentation po. Yun po yung kabuuan ng ating budget para sa taong 2026. Again, if there are key highlights that I'm hoping to share, that would be that one, this is the highest budget sector, this is the highest education budget in our country's history. And second, we have focused a lot of resources towards health. And third, we have focused a lot of resources towards agriculture. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat po. And I would now like to open the floor to questions from our friends in the media.
Hi, Kong Mika. Good morning po.
Good morning.
Ma'am, about lang po dun sa issue ng transparency, may I ask your reaction lang? Kanina kasi nagpa-interview din si Kabataan Party List Representative Rene Co, at ang sinabi naman din niya, bukod dun sa pagla-livestream, like for example, ng mga budget process dito sa House, ang hinihiling nila, i-livestream yung BICAM and other processes, pero at the same time, gawing ding mas accessible sa publiko. Kunyari, may mga report din, hindi lang basta livestream, kundi talagang naka-publish lahat ng mga information na madidiscuss. Ano pong masasabi nyo rito?
Siguro po unahin ko po yung patungkol sa live stream ng the Bicameral Conference Committee. I believe that was one of the, during our very first meeting, yung unang press conference ko po bilang chairperson ng Committee on Appropriations, I already gave the commitment of the House that the leadership is very much supportive of the thrust towards opening the Bicameral Conference Committee deliberations. At naging masaya po ako kasi last week po mismong si Presidente Bongbong Marcos na po yung nagsabi na i-livestream po yung Bicameral Conference Committee. So again, the House is very much in support. I believe Speaker Boji D has also said the same. He came out with a statement supporting the open Bicameral Conference Committee deliberation. So, very supportive din po ako pagdating po sa Open BICAM. In terms of the other documents po, we have, again, a lot of these documents po kasi would need to be, we would need to know which specific documents they would need greater access to. Kasi halimbawa po, for the first time, in-upload po yung third reading version ng GAB sa website ng House of Representatives immediately after its approval. And I believe that is the commitment that we gave our partners in the Senate, that we will make that immediately available to them as soon as we approve the General Appropriations Bill on third and final reading. In terms of other reports, halimbawa po, kunwari, sa susunod po, pag merong BARC, kung gusto po ng reports, pwede rin naman po nating ilabas yan. Kasi po naka-live stream naman po, so kitang-kita po ng lahat yung Excel file. But if other members of the House and other members of the public would like a formal document to be uploaded, particularly with regard to the BARC, pwede din po natin gawin yon. So I would be very happy to talk to Congresswoman Ko as to which documents they would like better access to moving forward.
Opo. And last na lang po, ma'am, from my end, sa ngalan ng House Committee on Appropriations and even sa Kamara, kasi hindi pa rin po natatapos yung mga nagsasabing, sinabi rin ng Makabayan Block na may pork barrel system pa rin, sinasabi na may 600 plus billion pesos of it, and even yung mga civil society organizations, ito din yung palagi nilang sinasabi habang nandito pa rin sa level ng Senate naman ngayon yung bilang pinuno po ng House Committee on Appropriations, ano pong masasabi nyo rito sa issue ng pork barrel at assurance na rin sa ating mga kababayan?
Maraming salamat po. Sinisigurado po natin na wala pong pork barrel funds sa budget para sa taong 2026. Alam ko po yung mga particular na programa na binabanggit po sa usapin na ito. Kadalasan po ang nadidinig ko yung AIX, MAIP at TUPAD. And on the part of the House, we have always maintained that in terms of post-enactment interventions, the House never engages in post-enactment interventions. Ibig sabihin po, kapag naaprubahan na po ang budget po para sa mga programa na ito ay napupunta sa mga kanya-kanyang mga ahensya. Halimbawa po, sa kaso ng AIX, nasa DSWD po, sa kaso ng MAIP, nasa DOH, sa kaso ng TUPAD, nasa DOLE. So, yun po, nandun po yun. At nasa discretion po ng ahensya kung papaano po i-disburse ng ahensya. They have their own internal guidelines, they have their own internal procedures as to how to disburse these funds. At wala pong intervention ang Kongreso patungkol po sa implementasyon ng mga programa na to. Another characteristic of pork barrel funds, as it's known in the past, would be its lump sum nature. At kung nakita nyo naman po yun, nakadetalye po lahat ngayon. Wala pong mga nakatago na pondo, wala pong mga nakatago o mga nakabaon na mga programa. Kaya po, atin pong maibibigay ang kasiguraduhan sa ating mga kababayan na wala pong pork barrel funds sa ating budget para sa taong 2026 at sa mga susunod na taon po sa ilalim po na aking liderato bilang chairperson ng Committee on Appropriations.
Next question. Kenneth.
Business reporter.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, critics have criticized nga yung budget process for this year na parang medyo naging tokenistic in nature yung mga budget reforms that you forwarded. What steps could you or the committee take to ensure that the budget process reforms you have initiated could be more concrete and tangible in the next budget process?
Thank you very much po. Actually, during my manifestation before the third reading approval of the General Appropriations Bill, I have been very open about that this is the very first time that we've done this. This is the very first time that the House has engaged with civil society organizations, particularly in terms of the budget. And admittedly, there are particular aspects of the process that we would still need to refine moving forward. At hiningi ko din po yung pasensya ng ating mga partners sa civil society sapagkat alam ko po na may mga pagkakataon na hindi kasing lapit yung engagement model as they would have expected. And the assurance that I would give to our partners in the civil society would be moving forward in the period between this budget season and the next budget season. I would more closely coordinate with them. Tulad po ng ginawa ko ng People's Budget Review, tinanong ko po sa kanila papaano pa natin pwedeng mapaganda yung proseso. And I will be very happy to work closely with them over the next months to refine our engagement models para po sa susunod na budget cycle ay mas maganda na po, mas bukas, mas transparent, mas malapit yung ating engagement sa kanila. Actually, ayoko pong hintayin pa yung sunod na budget cycle eh. I know that the Bicameral Conference Committee is coming up and a lot of the civil society organizations are also advocating for greater engagement, greater transparency in the BICAM process. So between now and the BICAM around December, I'll reach out to our friends in civil society to discuss how else we can refine our engagement models.
And on the unprogrammed appropriations naman po, can you explain why the House retained nearly all of the unprogrammed appropriations despite making it seem like tens of billions was cut from standby funds nga po? Ayun.
Opo. Tulad po ng pinakita natin kanina, sa ilalim po ng unprogrammed appropriations, there are 11 purposes for unprogrammed appropriations. And the reason why we retained the majority of it would be because these are necessary funds that would need to be put on standby for fiscal year 2026. As showed earlier, roughly 54% of the in-programmed appropriations pertain to foreign assisted projects, and that would be something that we would really need to have on standby. The other part of it would be those pertaining to strengthening assistance to social programs amounting to 45 billion pesos. As you can see po, nakalagay naman po kasi yon para, nakaabang po yon para sa PhilHealth, sa DepEd, sa DOH, sa DOLE, at sa CHED. So these are items that would be necessary and would be very helpful for the country. And lastly po, sa AFP modernization, actually po, as also explained earlier, mas malaki pa nga po yung funding requirement as per the AFP modernization law. So there's 40 billion under programmed appropriations right now, 50 billion under unprogrammed appropriations. We still have around, I think, 20 to 30 billion deficit despite having this in unprogrammed appropriations. So kung titignan po kasi natin, kung hihimayan din po natin yung utilization rate ng unprogrammed appropriations nitong mga nakadaang taon, hindi naman po talaga nagagamit yung or hindi po napopondohan yung kadamihan ng unprogrammed appropriations. Naglalagay lang po tayo ng line item doon para lang po may legal basis. Kung sakali magkakaroon po ng kadagdagang pondo o kadagdagang kita ang ating gobyerno, meron po tayong legal basis na pondohan itong mga programa na ito. So, we retained the unprogrammed appropriations, but we also are very adamant in putting in safeguards. Nakita po natin, paulit-ulit po na nakatalakayan sa ating mga deliberasyon na isa po sa mga pinaka-questionable na item sa ilalim ng unprogrammed appropriations ay yung dating tinatawag na sagip. At ang dahilan po kung bakit questionable yon dahil ang dami pong nabatak doon ng mga flood control projects at iba pa ng mga infrastructure projects na dapat sana ay nakalagay sa ilalim ng programmed appropriations. Kaya yun po yung ating ginawa. Opo, atin pong pinanatili yung level ng unprogrammed appropriations, pero sinigurado po natin na may sapat na safeguards, may sapat na panangga laban sa pang-aabuso. Tulad po ng binanggit ko, hindi na po pwedeng bumatak ng flood control, ng kalsada at ng tulay mula po sa dating tinatawag na sagip. So ang pwede na lang po ng mga infrastructure projects would be infrastructure projects pertaining to foreign assisted projects.
The next question comes from Ms. Gianesca Panti of...
last follow-up po.
Sorry.
Sorry, may bagong line item kasi under unprogrammed appropriations, yung government counterpart for foreign assisted projects. Could you differentiate anong pinagkaiba nung support to FAPS and itong government counterpart
Apo.
for FAPS.
I'll flash the slide po. I think share. Ayan po. Dito po, as you can see, the first item that was mentioned would be number 3, support of foreign assisted projects, and 4 would be government of the Philippines counterpart of foreign assisted projects. Bawat foreign assisted project may dalawang component. Yung una po would be the loan proceeds. Yung loan proceeds po, yun po yung ipinopondo galing po doon sa ating international partner. So yun po yung galing sa JICA, galing sa COICA, galing sa ADB, galing sa World Bank. Yun po yung loan proceeds. At yung loan proceeds po nakapaloob sa number 3. Yung pangalawang sangay po ng foreign assisted projects would be what you call GOP counterpart. Ibig sabihin po, sa agreement, may parte po na sagot ng ating international development partner, may parte na sagot ng ating bansa. Para din po yung mga counterpart projects ng mga local government units dito po sa ating bansa. Usually, halimbawa po kung magtatayo ka ng rice processing center sa isang probinsya, may 10% na counterpart yung mga LGUs. Parang ganun din po yung modelo ng foreign assisted project. So that's the reason why for the same project, there is always a loan proceeds component and there is a GOP counterpart component. So yun po yung diferensya ng number 3 at number 4.
Kong, sorry.
Nasel si ano ma?
Connected lang doon.
Sandali.
Ma'am,
Yes po.
yung connected to the question of Kenneth,
Yes,
why was it not in the NEP?
Apo. Tulad po ng nabanggit kanina, may dalawa po kasi, there are 2 criteria that would need to be satisfied for foreign assisted projects to be incorporated into the NEP. So the first would be during the budget preparation stage, there would need to be a perfected contract or perfected agreement with our international development partner. The second criteria po would be this particular perfected contract or agreement would need to be approved by the NEDA board. And the only reason why these projects are not in programmed appropriations is that these projects were not approved on time or ongoing pa po yung kanilang negotiation. So again, the ideal scenario would be to have all of these foreign assisted projects under programmed appropriations. Pero yun lang po yung dahilan. Halimbawa po, ito pong DSWD and DOH sa baba. Yung DOH po, ongoing FAPS na po yan. Pero hindi po na-approve yung extension ng loan in time. For DSWD po, it was a newly approved loan last October 7 lang po. So that's the reason why pinasok po muna siya sa unprogrammed appropriations. And then, yun po, hindi po siya nakapasok sa deadline para sa programmed appropriations.
Ma'am, pero bakit po yung amount is the exact amount na nagko-correspond doon sa infrastructure projects from SAGIP?
Kasi dati po, actually, inayos po yan ng DBM. Kasi dati naipasok nila sa SAGIP yung GOP counterpart. So yung 35 billion na GOP counterpart, yung linipat natin dito po sa GOP counterpart, ito pong number 4, naipasok po ng DBM yan doon sa strengthening assistance, yung dating SAGIP. So, yun po yung dahilan. Ngayon kasi, since we're already disallowing infrastructure from the first purpose, that is the reason why we transferred it as a government of the Philippines counterpart. I understand po, ma'am, the concern, and I also raised that to the DBM, that since it's a foreign assisted project, it shouldn't go under SAGIP. So, yun po. I understand that, ma'am. That's why we put it out. And mas tama na po itong ginawa natin. May safeguard po tayo. That way, wala na pong pwedeng infra na mabatak mula po sa purpose number 1.
Thank you.
Thank you very much po.
Nasel,
Hello,
your turn.
good afternoon, ma'am. Yanes Kapanti of GMA News Online. Ma'am, kasi SP Soto already said and Senator Win Gatchalian, they said they want the unprogrammed appropriations removed. Ang gusto lang nilang itira yung FAPs. How do you respond to that? I'm assuming you'll be part of the BICAM as the APRO chair. So how would you deal with that kung ganun yung maging stand ng Senate? What are the implications if that will be the case kung yun lang, FAPs lang?
Yes po. Thank you po. So actually, I'm very much open to discussing with the Senate in terms of how we can potentially rationalize the contents within unprogrammed appropriations. But as you can see here po, there are other programs po kasi that would really need to be there. For example po, aside from FAPs, we would need to maintain budgetary support for government-owned and controlled corporations. Because if we don't have these, we can have commitment penalties. So, yun lang po, I would be very open to discussing with them as to why particular programs can be rationalized. Perhaps one thing that they can look at, instead of totally removing AFP modernization, we can talk about reducing the 50 billion. Parang ganun po. So rather than zeroing out the particular items under unprogrammed appropriations, one option is to explore reducing it. So yun po. I believe it has to be a ongoing conversation on the part of the House and on the part of the Senate, because also DBM and Malacanang have been very, very vocal about this, na may mga particular na programa po sa ilalim ng unprogrammed appropriations na kailangang i-maintain. So, I would be very happy to discuss with the Senate. So, hindi naman po sarado sa parte ng House na kailangan po itong buong 243 billion pesos ay manatili. Hindi po yun saradong usapin. Sana din po sa parte din po ng Senado, sana hindi din po saradong usapin na ang ititira lang talaga sa unprogrammed appropriations ay yung FAPs at wala nang iba. Kasi base po sa huli ko pong narinig mula po sa aking pong counterpart sa Senado, ang chairman po ng Committee on Finance, I believe Senator Win Gatchalian mentioned that he's looking at retaining FAPs, only those FAPs projects with ODA or official development agreements. And the amount that was mentioned was around 40 to 50 billion pesos only. So I would like to have that conversation with Senator Gatchalian as to how they came up with that figure. Because in terms of our computation, the total for FAPs would be around 133 billion. And in terms of those programs that have finalized ODAs, we are looking at around 85 billion pesos. So yun po siguro yung mga kailangan nating pag-usapan na papaano po natin pwedeng i-rationalize. Ulitin ko po, hindi po saradong usapin sa parte ng Kamara. Hindi naman po namin sinasabi na kailangan i-retain yung buong 243 billion pesos. We are open to discussions with the Senate on how we can rationalize the items under unprogrammed appropriations.
Thank you po. Ma'am, yung second question ko about yung 13.8 billion for scholarships na saan po siya galing? Kasi 'di ba yung 12 billion special provision, I understand, yung sa UACTEP, but yung 13.8 billion additional scholarships, galing po ba yun ng DPWH?
Yes po. Kabuuan po nito, kabuuan po ng 13 billion pesos ay nagmula po sa 255.5 billion pesos na binatak mula po sa DPWH. Yung 12 billion pesos po, kanina, yung sa deficiency to SUCs, hindi po lahat yun sa special provision lang. 7.8 billion pesos po ay galing po sa special provision ng HEDF, and the remaining 4.4 billion pesos was also funded from the 255 billion pesos of DPWH. So, in total po, we were able to pull an additional 18.2 billion pesos for scholarships from the 255 billion pesos from flood controls in DPWH.
last na po on my part, yung 113 billion po for PhilHealth, what does this mean for PhilHealth members? Like, I think most of us here.
Opo. Thank you, Ma'am Yanesca. I actually have been trying to press PhilHealth to I've manifested that several times during all the hearings and during the BARC deliberations even that sa akin pong parte, 3 po sana yung gusto kong makita na gagawin ng PhilHealth. Doon po sa 113 billion pesos na ating pong ipagkakatiwala sa kanila. Una po, sana mas mapalawak nila, mas mapataas nila yung benefits package para sa mga pasyente. Pangalawa, sana po mas mapababa nila yung premium para po sa mga direct contributors. At pangatlo po, sana mabayaran nila yung kanilang mga obligasyon sa mga ospital. Yun po yung 3 na gusto po sana naming makita galing po sa PhilHealth. And one of the manifestations that I gave is that we even gave PhilHealth a deadline to give us a detailed analysis of how they can actually improve the benefits package. I still need to talk to PhilHealth kasi po nung nakita namin yung expansion na balak nila gawin, medyo sa mata po ng Kongreso, medyo hindi pa po sapat yun. Kasi gusto po sana namin, kung naalala nyo po, nung deliberation, hinihingi ko po mas mapataas ng sobra yung kanilang binibigay para sa angiogram at angioplasty. Ngayon po kasi parang 9,000 pesos lang yata yung binibigay nila para sa angiogram at alam naman po natin na minimum 50,000 pesos yung angiogram. So yun po yung 3 na gusto ko makita na gagawin ng PhilHealth at medyo kailangan pa po naming, medyo dikdikin pa po yung PhilHealth para makuha yung commitment nila dito. Thank you po.
Next, Haj.
Hi, Kong Mika. Magandang
Hi, Sir
hapon po.
Haji.
Ma'am, there was a senior minority lawmaker na who urged President Marcos to replace the DBM chief. Ang pinopoint out po kasi niya, parang may negligence, extreme negligence and gross incompetence on their part, especially sa mga nakalipas po na budget 2023, 2024, and then 2025. Of course, you've worked with DBM officials, particularly Secretary Amina Pangandaman for the 2026 budget. But question is, meron po bang, based on your observations and yung pakikipagtulungan po ninyo sa DBM, may mga pagkakataon po ba na may ganoon na issues surrounding DBM? I mean, ano po masasabi ninyo sa mga DBM officials na nakatrabaho po ninyo? Kasi parang sinasabi, replacing the DBM chief would send a strong message na kung talagang serious daw po ang administration for reforms sa budget process. Thank you po.
Thank you po. I have the greatest respect for Secretary Amina Pangandaman. I have worked very closely with her. I have always seen her as the best economist I've worked with. Of course, aside from Sec RC, because I also love Sec RC. I have the highest respect for her, not only for Secretary Pangandaman, but for all of the officials in DBM. Sa totoo lang po, para po sa kalaman ng lahat, ito pong usapin tungkol sa unprogrammed appropriations, lalo na po nung naging mainit na usapin po ito sa social media at sa iba pa, talaga pong nag-uusap kami na paano ba natin pwedeng ayusin itong unprogrammed appropriations, paano po natin masisigurado na hindi ito maaabuso sa taong 2026. And honestly, when we were doing all of those discussions, and even during the plenary deliberations, when members of the minority would have specific suggestions, particularly towards lump sum funds, UA, even in terms of the general provisions, makikita ko po and I say this with the utmost sincerity. Kitang-kita ko po sa parte ng DBM na pag may na-recognize sila na point, na uy, okay yan tama yan. Sila pa yung unang magsasabi na, sige, Chair Mika, go, okay kami dyan sa amendment na yan. Isa pong halimbawa, yung sa GIP, yung nung ilang beses po na bring up yon sa deliberation, sila pa yung una nagsabi na share, okay kami dyan. Kung tatanggalin talaga yung infrastructure mula sa GIP, sige, okay kami. Sila pa nga po yung nag-draft nung version ng special provision patungkol doon. So, I understand that there are instances or things that have transpired that may have called into question the safeguards, the evaluation, the assessment processes and guidelines within the DBM. But I really see the sincerity in the good men and women of DBM to continually improve their processes. Ang dami din po nila na ina-advocate ng mga transparency measures, yung open budget, yung Project Dime. They have a lot of transparency measures as well. So, even with the recognition that there might have been instances in the past wherein certain guidelines would need to be reinforced or amended, nakikita ko po yung sinseridad sa ating mga kasama sa DBM na talagang gusto talaga nilang ayusin yung proseso.
So, ibig sabihin man parang naayos na rin nila yung instances na yun kasi may binabanggit na parang may huge sums of money raw po na nag-disappear from the DPWH appropriations. Yun po yung ipinunto ng minority of lawmaker. In particular, si Congressman Erice po. Tapos, ang binabanggit din po kasi niya, parang may influence daw from powerful legislators daw po kasi kaya parang siguro na-influensyahan daw po yung DBM.
I would be very happy to discuss with Senior Deputy Minority Leader Erice with regard to that. I would be keen to know ano po yung particular na ehemplo na kanyang iniisip doon sa nawawalang pondo mula sa DPWH. Alam ko po ang isa sa mga natalakay yung malaki na nabatak mula sa dating SAGIP na flood control projects. But I would be very keen to know. Medyo mahirap po kasing sagutin nang hindi ko po alam yung particular na programa na tinutukoy po ni SDML Erice. But I'd be very happy to discuss with him po. Again, in 2026, I would be very adamant na kung ano man po yung mga nakaligtaan na mga guidelines o safeguards sa nakaraan, aayusin po natin yon. Paiigtingin po natin yon para sa 2026 para masigurado po na hindi maaabuso yung pondo para sa susunod na taon.
Super last na lang po. So, Secretary Pangandaman should stay.
For me po, yes. I see the hard work that she puts in, her integrity, and her love for her work. So, yes, I firmly believe that Secretary Amena Pangandaman should stay. Thank you po.
We're down to the last three questions. The first comes from Rosalie Cos of UNTV.
Hi Kong, good afternoon po.
Hi, Ma'am
Binawasan po yung pondo ng Office of the Vice President for 2026. Anong mangyayari po sa binawas na pondo? Saan po yun mapupunta?
Opo, yung kabuuan po ng na kaltas sa Office of the Vice President ay inilipat po sa MAIFIP. So, 156 million po yun sa kabuuan. Kasi po, yung ilan po sa mga particular na programa na atin pong kinaltasan, kung naaalala nyo po, tinitignan po natin yung financial assistance and subsidy. Kasi po, ang ating pong napag-usapan ay dapat po nasa ahensya po yun. Nasa ahensya. The budget for financial assistance and should be lodged in the different agencies like DSWD, DOH, or DOLE. So, yun po yung ginawa natin. Binatak po natin yun at lahat po yun napunta po sa MAIFIP. Pero tulad po nung kondisyon na aking pong ibinigay, nung atin pong inaprubahan yung motion ni Congresswoman De Lima na ibalik po yung level ng Office of the Vice President sa level ng 2025, may dalawa po akong kondisyon na inilatag doon. Una, kailangan po maprotektahan yung interes ng mga personnel sa loob po ng Office of the Vice President. So, malaki po kasing parte noong increase sa OVP budget na pinanukala ng DBM ay patungkol po sa salary standardization law, yung pagtaas po ng kanilang sahod. So, yun po, prinotektahan po natin yon. So, yung increase na pinanukala ng DBM para sa sahod ng mga OVP employees, retain po natin yon sa third reading version ng GAB. Pangalawa po, na kondisyon ko na kailangan po yung kung makakaltasan man ang OVP, kailangan po yung pondo na matitira sa Office of the Vice President ay sapat para maipagpatuloy nila na magampanan ang mandato ng opisina. And with that po, even with the reduction, tumaas pa rin po yung kanilang supplies expense, tumaas pa rin po yung kanilang rent expense, yung operational expenses nila, tumaas pa rin po. So even if the overall total was reduced by 150 million pesos to return the level to the 2025 levels, tumaas pa din po yung iba-ibang mga components ng budget ng Office of the Vice President.
The next question comes from...
Sorry po, may follow-up lang po ako. Opo, two more, sorry. Ano po palang stand nyo po as APRO Chair sa calls to make public yung congressional proponents sa mga DPWH projects? We understand sa HGAB, nakalagay naman po yun yung congressional district, magkano yung allocation sa DPWH projects, pero walang particular kung sino yung proponent. Si Congressman Chanco po, nanawagan din na kahit yung pong mga party list proponent, i-publicized yung pong proponents, party list proponents sa DPWH projects. Ano pong stand nyo?
Actually po, sinusubukan ko po sigurong intindihin ano po yung proponent na tinutukoy. Kasi po kung makikita nyo po yung budget ng DPWH ngayon, lahat po yun ay nagmumula sa kanya-kanyang mga district engineering offices ng iba't ibang mga probinsya. So yun po, actually kung titignan nyo ang proponent nun, ang lalabas po nun, ang proponent nun ay ang district engineering office. So, yun po siguro yung aking katanungan doon na ano pong proponent yung tinutukoy nila, ano po yung hinahanap nila. Kasi dalawa lang naman po yung pwedeng, at tatlo po, yung pwedeng pagmulan ng isang proyekto na napapaloob sa NEP. Una po, nag-emanate siya from the District Engineering Office. Second, pwede pong galing sa regional office ng DPWH. O pangatlo, especially with regard to flagship programs, sa central office po siya ng DPWH nagbumula. So, siguro yun po yung level na pwedeng maipakita ng DPWH in terms of the proponents for different projects. Either nag-emanate siya from the district engineer office, from the regional office, or the central office.
Okay. Last na lang po, sorry. Bukod po dun sa efforts to open the BICAM to public, ano po ang stand niyo po as House APRO Chair dun po sa expanding the minority representations po ng House sa BICAM?
Actually po, that's something that I am still taking a look at. Tinitignan po natin if there is a legal requirement in terms of the composition of the bicameral conference committee conferees. So, pwede po naman nating tignan yan. Again, I recognize the very valuable inputs of the minority. As you can see po, sa Budget Amendments Review Subcommittee, mismo si Minority Leader Marcelino Libanan ay parte ng BARC. At bukod sa kanya, meron pang dalawa, si Kong Alan T. at si Kong Stephen James Tan, na parte po ng BARC. So, I really recognize the invaluable inputs of the minority. So we can take a look at that po. Definitely happy to explore that. Thank you po.
Next, Dwight of Rappler.
Hello po, Congresswoman. Good morning.
Hi, Dwight.
Ma'am, clarify ko lang kanina dun sa explanation nyo sa unprogrammed appropriations. Yung so 35 billion pesos, it was removed from SAGIP but na-retain pa rin kasi yung amount na yon sa buong unprogrammed appropriations. Ano ba yung direct impact nun sa paglilipat to the government of the Philippines counterpart of foreign assisted projects? Kasi kanina sa pagkakasabi nyo, parang yung government counterpart, it was originally in SAGIP. Like, can we say ba that because naging new line item siya, hindi na siya magagamit to local flood control projects? Ano ba yung may safeguards bang na-introduce by making a new line item out of it? Kasi baka isipin ng mga tao na ay parang nandun pa rin yung pera, ginawa niyo lang ng new line item.
Thank you, Sir Dwight. That's something that I am really hoping to clarify. Ang dahilan po kung bakit binatak natin siya, kasi ang intention po talaga natin dun sa dating SAGIP ay tanggalin na yung infra mula dun. Kasi dun nga po nababatak yung flood control dati, kahit yung mga kalsada at mga tulay. So by taking out the FAPs from the first purpose, we are able to put in the safeguard there na definitively bawal na yung infrastructure projects dyan. So, putting it out, putting the FAPs infrastructure out from the former SAGIP allows us to put in more stringent safeguards to ensure that it would no longer be abused. So, yun po. Kasi kung meron pang infra doon, hindi natin definitively matanggal yung infrastructure from the authorized purposes or authorized uses of purpose number 1, yung strengthening assistance to social programs. So, by taking it out, pwede nating lalong higpitan yung special purpose 1.
Ma'am, pero dito sa bagong line item, sorry, pardon my ignorance, ito ba pwede pa rin gamitin for flood control projects yun?
Let me check lang po sa kasalukuyan po kasi na tignan ko lang po yung breakdown ng kasi yung nakita ko po na mga malalaking proyekto ngayon doon, Metro Manila Rail, Metro Manila Subway, North-South Railway, sali lang po, buksan ko lang po. May nakita din po kasi ako ng mga DSWD. Diyan po buksan ko lang po. May detailed po ako na laman ng FAPs I also want to be very specific with the answer, Sir Dwight. So let me just quickly pull this out. Ayun po. Yun po. Ang laman po nitong GOP ngayon. So the question po is whether there's a flood control project here. Kadamihan po kasi dito, sa DAR, meron pong tulay. Sa DOH, may nutrition project, so hindi po siya infra. Sa DPWH, nandito po bridges, connector bridge, bypass, Central Mindanao Standard Highway, San Juanico Bridge is here. Meron pong integrated disaster risk reduction and climate adaptation in low-lying areas in Pampanga Bay, but I don't think that's flood control po. And then accelerated water and sanitation project in selected areas. So definitely within DPWH po, sa 35 billion po, or even the whole 133 billion, wala pong flood control projects ngayon doon, even under FAPs. DSWD, e-vouchers po for food insecurity at saka Philippine Community Resilience Project. Sa DOTR po, as mentioned, Metro Manila Subway Project, North-South Commuter Railway, MRT Line 3 Rehab, MRT Line 4 Project, PNR Railway, LRT, Mindanao Railway Project, acquisition of 40 units of fast patrol crafts, Maritime Safety Capability Improvement Project, Cebu Bus Rapid Transit, and EDSA Greenways Project. So even across the board, ngayon po sa 133 billion under FAPs, wala pong flood control projects doon.
Last two questions na lang po. Yung una po, technical question lang po. Yung breakdown po ba makikita sa HGAB? Kasi I checked the unprogrammed appropriation section, di ko makita yung breakdown. Or is it in bawat agency ba?
Opo. Actually po, wala. For unprogrammed appropriations po, wala po sa yung breakdown. But there is one. I'll check lang po with the DBM if we can share it to all. Kasi the only reason lang po why there's some sensitivity around it, there are development partners po kasi who do not want to publicize particular projects unless the negotiation phase is already finalized or the contracts would be finalized. So I just need to check with the DBM in terms of the sensitivities po. We also do not want to endanger certain contract negotiations for ODA projects, but to the extent possible po, we can share that.
Okay, last question na lang on a different matter. Kasi yung ibang mga kongresista, naglalabas na po ng kanilang kopya ng SALN. There are 3 from Akbayan, 3 from Makabayan, 1 from the Visayas. Kayo po ba ay, do you commit to also releasing a copy of your SALN anytime soon?
Actually po, I believe Speaker Boji, Speaker Boji D has but he released a statement saying that they would revisit the guidelines for releasing SALNs for all House members. So kung ano po yung direction ng House leadership on that, I will comply po.
Next.
Okay po. Thank
Last
you.
question comes from Miss Vivian Gulia.
Hi, ma'am. Good afternoon. You did say that you are open to reducing the unprogrammed appropriations, proposed unprogrammed appropriations for 2026. Pero non-negotiable po ba sa inyo yung FAPS, na FAPS lang ang i-retain?
Kung titignan po kasi natin yung laman, bubuksan ko lang po ulit yung unprogrammed.
So, hindi kayo papayag kung FAPS lang ang gusto ng Senate?
Medyo delikado lang po kasi halimbawa po yung Marawi Siege Victims Compensation Program, that is something that we need to retain. Yung isa po, yung sa strengthening assistance for social programs, tulad po ng binanggit ko, there have been a lot of instances in the past. For example po, yung ngayon, dito po sa ilalim, yung unprogrammed appropriations na naka-standby sa loob po na AIX. May mga pagkakataon po kasi talaga na kailangan nating mabatak yon. Sa totoo lang po, ang takot ko po, kung i-wipe out natin lahat ng laman ng unprogrammed appropriations, halimbawa po, ito pong mga nakapaloob sa strengthening assistance for social programs. If there comes a time that there's sana naman po sa awa ng Diyos hindi mangyari, pero kung magkaroon po ng malaking kalamidad, kung magkaroon po ng kailangang national health emergency na kailangan pong respondihan, kung hindi po natin bibigyan ng legal basis for funding these items, hindi po tayo makakabatak. Siguro po, bukod po sa ngayong taon na nakabatak po tayo ng 5 bilyong piso para po tugunan at rumisponde po doon sa mga naapektuhan ng bagyo at lindol sa Masbate, sa Cebu at Davao. Several instances in the past. In terms of COVID, actually po, unprogrammed appropriations yung unang binatakan ng gobyerno para agad-agad na matulungan yung mga health emergency practitioners, yung mga frontliners natin, dun po bumatak sa unprogrammed appropriation. So there, I've had this conversation with the DBM as to what could happen if we take out all of the items under unprogrammed appropriations. And they were saying that yes, that's a possibility, but we really lose our flexibility to respond to emergencies and unforeseen circumstances. Kasi po, sa ilalim ng NDRRMF, meron pong nandun. Merong roughly 30 billion pesos, tama ba, na nasa calamity fund. Pero yung calamity fund kasi, dadaan yan sa OCD. Tapos may specific uses lang na pwedeng lagyan ng calamity fund. So yun lang po. We lose our flexibility. So ang take ko po doon, I am very much open to reducing unprogrammed appropriations, pero sana po we retain the purposes that are really needed.
So having said that, mga magkano po yung nakikita natin na possible na ma-retain from the 243 currently?
So out of the 243, very, very, very ballpark lang po. And it's a little bit difficult to commit at the moment because I think we need to have that ongoing conversation with the Senate. But definitely we have to retain the 133 billion under FAPS as showed earlier. Nandiyan po yung 133 billion. Kung hindi man yung kabuuan, parang hirap mag-commit on the values po because we need to take a look at that. We need to retain some for AFP modernization. Kung hindi man po yung buong 50 billion, pwede po tayong magtira doon. Kailangan po kasi talaga ng armed forces natin ng kadagdagang tulong para po sa mga kagamitan. Budgetary support to GOCCs, even if it's not that whole amount, we need to put some on standby. Ano pa ba yung pwede nating i-reduce? Marawi Siege Victims Compensation Program, sana matira po natin yan kasi that's been a long-standing program at ang tagal na po yan, hindi po natatapos yung pagbibigay po natin ng tulong ng compensation sa lahat po ng mga biktima ng Marawi Siege. And sana po yung insurance premium. Kung hindi man sila komportable sa buong 2 billion, kailangan po sana nating magtira just for unforeseen circumstances. So, sorry po for not being able to provide the specific number, but those are the items that we can explore po.
Okay. Your comment dito sa sinabi ni Representative Tino na mayroon daw pong backdoor para mapondohan pa rin yung locally funded infrastructure project. Sabi niya mayroon daw 4.9 billion na natira sa capital outlay at mayroon daw pong provision sa unprogrammed appropriations na nagpapahintulot sa DBM na dagdagan ito ng kahit magkano mula sa iba pang mga pondo sa unprogrammed appropriations. He sought to get that provision removed daw po pero hindi na aprobahan.
Meron kasing dun po may dalawang I remember the special provision that Representative Tino was referring to. The DBM is authorized to one, approve specific disbursements, and second po, to be able to reallocate. Kung ang takot po ng ating distinguished colleague would be may backdoor method for funding locally funded infrastructure projects, more specifically flood control projects, wala na po dito. If you would see the purposes that we've allowed, wala na pong pwedeng pasukan ng flood control eh. Sandali lang po. Ayan. Wala na pong pwedeng pasukan ng flood control projects dito. So, most definitely not locally funded. So, even though DBM has the power to reallocate, if you would look at the safeguards that we've put in, wala na po dito na pwedeng pasukan ng locally funded flood control projects. Even roads, even bridges, hindi na po pwede. The only infrastructure projects allowed here would be, especially under DPWH and DOTR, would be those pertaining to foreign assisted projects. So, yun po din yung binanggit ko sa ating kasamahan nung plenary deliberations that we have put in the safeguards to make sure hindi po maaabuso at wala pong backdoor way na mapasukan po ito na locally funded projects.
Okay, Senate Finance Committee Chair Gatchalian is saying gusto niya limited yung discussion ng BICAM to the disagreeing provisions lang of the House and Senate versions of the GAB. Unlike before, parang yung AKAP sa BICAM ba yun na ilagay? Hindi raw magkakaroon ng reincarnation nitong AKAP. Your comment?
In terms of sagutin ko po muna yung sa AKAP, definitely wala pong maging reincarnation yung AKAP. That's an assurance that we can give on the part of the House. Yung pangalawa po, in terms of the what do you call this, the discussion, yun naman po, napag-usapan po namin yan ni Senator Gatchalian. We've had a meeting before just to align on what the priorities are, the transparency measures are, and the reforms are on the part of the House and the Senate. And yes, that is the goal, na yung disagreeing provisions po ng House at ng Senado, yung ating tatalakayin sa BICAM. ayaw po natin, at alam ko yun din po yung gustong iwasan ng ating mga kasamahan sa Senado, ayaw po natin na magkaroon ng isang buong panibagong body na para bang gumawa ka ng pangatlong level na naayos na sa House, naayos na naamyendahan na sa Senado, tapos biglang may bago kang body na babaguhin mo lahat. Yun din po yung gusto nating iwasan sa parte ng Kamara. So definitely we will focus on the disagreeing provisions between the House version and the Senate version of the General Appropriations Bill.
Thank
On
you
that
po.
note, we end the press com today. Maraming salamat, Kong Mika Swansing. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much po. I would like to thank our friends in the media. Thank you so much for all the hard work that you have put in all throughout the budget deliberations. Lahat po ng puyat, kasama po namin kayo. Maraming salamat po for giving us the platform to share important information to the Filipino people. And ang assurance po na maibibigay po natin sa ating mga kababayan, yung budget po natin para sa taong 2026, sisiguraduhin po natin na tunay na tumutugon sa mga pangangailangan ng ating mga kababayan at ng ating bansa. Malinis po ito, transparent po ito, at higit sa lahat, ang ating pong budget para sa taong 2026 ay budget na mapagkakatiwalaan ng ating mga kababayan. Maraming salamat po. Thank you. Thank you.